There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
With more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes, Welton Rayom is committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle, slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646. Welton Rayom can help.
Welcome to Caneswear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
All right, the Squared Circle Digest. We are live, the Raw Reaction Show. And appreciate you if you're following us on the Stanley Media House Network on YouTube. If you're on our X at Sean_Stanley11, or if you're listening or watching on Twitch, appreciate you joining us there as well. Don't forget, please jump over to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button if you want, but please hit the like button, share, and everything. Raw is in the books. And let's see who we got already. Chad's in the group. No Doubt's in. My dad's in. Cat for Life is in. Let's see. It says, is it time for Sammy to move on from the IC title contention? That's exactly what they did right there. The fact that, again, I thought when I first saw this, and again, it's kind of like the way, me and Frankie talk about all the time, where you kind of build yourself up thinking that, oh, let's see how they do this. I honestly thought the Judgment Day would play a part in this to where you could keep Sammy in the title contention if they get involved and cost him. And then also you set up for Jey Uso and Sami Zayn to possibly fight Judgment Day for the tag team titles. They did not go that way. It was a clean win by Braun Breaker. And if you look at Sami Zayn when he's in the corner, he's shaking his head like, hey, you got the best of me. You're the Intercontinental Champion. I don't know. And again, I'm not saying they're not going to throw Sammy in there every once in a while or something to give Braun maybe an opponent, but I think his title time with the Intercontinental title is done. I think you're going to see more of him and Jay as tag teams. Ultimately, I believe, setting up for the other part that we've talked about, which ultimately I believe might be the Bloodline reunion. You'll have Jay and Sammy over here. You'll have Roman and Jimmy over there, and we'll see where that goes. But yes, I believe that he's done. And then I like the Braun versus Bronson. I loved the R-Truth today. He's like, hey, I got you a match with Braun Breaker for the IC title. He said, yeah, look right here. And they go over to the graphic, and it's Miz versus Bronson Reed. and Miz is upset about it. And then Randy Orton comes into the picture and does a little pep talk, and Miz leaves like he's going to win. And then, R-Truth asks Randy Orton, "You really think he's going to win?" And he's like, no. But I love the fact there. And then the fact that they are building up Bronson Reed, the way they're building him up. I like what they're doing. Ultimately, again, depending on how the injuries are with Seth, again, he probably had some nagging injuries, and this is a way to write him off of TV for a little bit, and then he doesn't have to travel. So now he's home. He's getting all the proper work done and everything else, rehabbing and everything else that he's got to do. And then the interesting thing to me also with that part was that he hit R-Truth with all of the tsunamis. He hit Miz with one, and then the rest of them were all on R-Truth. They didn't do the damage to Miz because they need to use Miz. R-Truth doesn't do as much in-ring work. So now you take him out of the ring, and you don't lose, one of the in-ring performers, I guess you shall say, there. Let's see. Terry's in now as well, so appreciate you guys there. Cap for Life says, ladies and gentlemen, Raw was excellent tonight. 9 out of 10 for me, with Tozawa stealing the show with a double DDT. Yeah, no, that match was good. He got his foot stuck in the dive, though, to the outside. But, kudos to, which I don't know which one. I think Julius is the slimmer one and Brutus is the bigger one. So Julius Creed stepped up and was able to make sure no damage was done to Tozawa. Try to say that so many times there. But it was very interesting. I thought, again, that would be a chance. Chad's not there for Alpha Academy to go over in a way, but then you bring out Ivy Nile. She attacks her former best friend, Maxine, puts her in a dragon sleeper on the announce table to get Otis and Tozawa's attention, and then ultimately the Creeds get the win. But I think you could have, had in a Texas Tornado match, since everybody's in the ring at the same time, you could have had the Alpha Academy sneak a win there without Chad Gable, with Chad Gable not there, and then ran it back with Gable there and kind of added more to it. I don't know that Tozawa and Otis needed the loss there in that match. You got to build it up a little bit, but you did just have the Creeds lose to the Wyatt Six last week. So maybe that's what they're thinking of in that way of building up that tag team again, the Creed brothers, since they just lost, or American Made, whatever they're calling them now. So interesting there. What happened when two immovable forces collide? I guess we will find out. It promises to be explosive. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Bronson Reed. Do they keep him on this, mission until Seth gets back, and then Seth works the first, again, I don't know how serious the injuries are with Seth. So to me, it would make sense to keep Bronson Reed as, the monster push that he's on right now, leading up to Seth coming back and getting his revenge on Bronson Reed. And then you've already built Bronson up to, a height to where now when Seth beats him, again, you could have him dominate Seth, and then Seth hits the stomp out of nowhere or whatever and gets the pinfall. And then you keep Bronson, at a height. Right now, you're slowly elevating him up. And I don't know if you do put him in there with Braun Breaker, he's not going to beat Braun Breaker. So you slow down that momentum, because I feel like Breaker I don't know where his next opponent's going to be. I don't know which way they're going to go with it. It's going to be interesting to see how and which way they go with Braun Breaker too, because they're kind of keeping him gray right now. Yes, he versed Sami Zayn, but this week he didn't talk down to Sami Zayn. He kind of, as he's walking into the ring, he's like, Pat McAfee, Mr. Football, are there dogs in Austin, Texas? And, and then the crowd reacts to it. So interestingly to me that, that they aren't having him as a heel, but he's not also a baby as well. So it's going to be interesting to see which route they end up taking with Braun Breaker and where he goes next. Because I don't think, look, ultimately, maybe you get the Survivor Series, maybe Braun versus Bronson, depending on where Seth's at. But I just don't know that you put them two against each other. And knowing the way everything's going, next week on Raw, it'll be Bronson Reed versus Braun Breaker. Because if you watch the matches next week, you've got Sheamus, who was attacked by, well, actually wasn't attacked by Ludwig Kaiser, was talking to him, then he was attacked by Pete Dunne. And then with the shillelagh, and then Pete Dunne hits his hand on the thing. Now they will fight next week on Raw. You've got a triple threat for the women's tag team title. Shayna, Zoe, Alba Fire, Isla Dawn, and then Io Sky and Kairi Sane. I did find interesting where Kairi Sane and Io Sky were like, you took something from us, meaning Dakota Kai. We're going to take something from you. So we'll see where they go from there too. But again, I didn't like the fact that Dakota Kai, unless she has some kind of injury going on there, I didn't like that whole. I think you could have pushed her and got her a match, and they didn't do it. She had a singles match. I think she deserves a push. She's done a lot for Damage Control, and I thought, once she took over, I thought she would be more of a focal point than what she has. Io Sky's actually become the focal point, rightfully deserved also. But I thought Dakota Kai would get more than what she's gotten, I guess. Io Sky became the leader, and probably rightfully so. But Dakota Kai, to me, was the mastermind, the brains, and it just never developed into, I don't know whether it was an injury or what the doing was, but Dakota Kai never got the push, I thought. It was announced at Bash in Berlin, a mixed tag team, Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley against Dom and Liv. Liv says it's the Judgment Day Revenge Tour now, so now it's gone from Liv Morgan's Revenge Tour to the Rhea Ripley Revenge Tour to the Judgment Day Revenge Tour. And then also you had Balor call himself Backstabber Balor in the promo. It's pretty interesting to see there. The show started. Rhea Ripley comes to the ring. Liv and Dom come up in the upper area of the fans, and they're talking. They're going back and forth. They're kind of, Dom's running down Rhea. Rhea run down Dom. I forgot exactly what he said. He said, "Oh yeah." She says, "Here's something that you've heard before, not deep enough." And saying that to Dom from a insult that he threw at her. And then ultimately she says, "Thank you. You guys stayed there long enough to where we've been able to pinpoint you and find you." And as soon as she says that, Damian Priest walks out behind them, and then the fight's on. It's Damian and Dom fighting up through the concourse area, down into the ring. Ultimately, you had JD, Carlito get involved, and all that was done to do what? Set up for Carlito taking on Damian Priest, the opening match of the night. And again, I thought, look, they I don't know about 9 out of 10, but it was a good Raw, and it moved. I mean, it didn't feel like I was sitting there dragging for a 3-hour show. They did the Bo Dallas, everything comes for full circle, my life for you. He just kept repeating that. We'll see where that goes. The White Six really not involved on this show after the debut last week. I like that. I like that, they're not going to keep feeding them and feeding them and feeding them every week to where when they're there, it's going to mean something. And No Doubt says that deep enough line was funny. And then Carlito actually looked all right in that match. No, Carlito's looked fine. Carlito's doing what he needs to do and what he's there to do, really. He's a name that people know. He's there to be a backstage presence and to get some laughs, and then to go out there and make Damian Priest look good. That's what JD McDonough does too. So, did you hear his last line? There you are. Yeah, he said that to the TV. Like, you know what? The one thing I'm gonna ask you guys this. If you're on X, don't forget you can send in a question on X, a comment on X, please. Twitch, whatever you got. If you're watching us on Twitch, send in. I'd like to see a response on this one. When they're doing the Wyatt Six, and it's not all the time, but do you feel that there's too much noise going on? Like it's distracting a little bit from what they're saying, and then they're doing all the noise and all that. Do you find that a little bit distracting? Because tonight I found it a little bit more distracting than normal. I don't know if it was maybe because he just kept saying it, rocking it and saying, the whole line of, what was the exact wording? I'm sorry, man. My life for you, my life for you, my life for you. And as he was doing it, you still had the static. You had the, creaking doors, whatever it was, all the sounds that were still going on. It felt a little distracting. It felt distracting to me tonight more than ever, more than normal, I guess. Maybe it's just I paid more attention to the promo since it was just kind of Bo sitting there. But it just seemed like it was a lot louder today than normal. Maybe I'm wrong. I just wanted to ask your results or your thoughts there. Also, he said many doors were open. Yeah, I took that to mean that the Wyatt Six are going to go beyond Gable soon. Yeah. To me, all the noise just makes me pay more attention so I can catch the hints. No, maybe that's the whole thing is. And maybe that's where I didn't go all in on, I guess, listening to it. So maybe that's where I got real distracted by it today. And I don't know why. But I kind of tuned out almost from that because it was just so like everything was just usually it's kind of mixed in, I guess mixed down better. Or I mean, maybe they don't use as many sounds as they did tonight, but I found it a little bit distracting. So and as you said, maybe they made you tune in and listen to the facts more. And I did think, they opened the doors that they're going. I think last week was what this week was. Braun Breaker, Sami Zayn closing the book. I believe with that win last week, the fact that they pinned Chad Gable, I believe that book is closed. And I just don't think it goes any further than that. I don't know what else. What can you do? Chad Gable gets pinned clean in that match. They didn't pin one of the Creed brothers. They pinned Chad Gable. Like, what is Chad Gable going to come back and what? So I believe that's going to be the end of there. Xavier Woods, interesting stuff. I love what they're doing with Odyssey Jones and with Kofi and Xavier. Xavier kind of being left out in a way. They're back there. You hear Kofi yelling and chanting, and they even have an NDR shirt. I think New Day. I don't know what the R was. I didn't pick up on that Odyssey Jones is wearing. And Kofi's like, oh, we should have got you one of these shirts. And then the fact that, they go out there, Odyssey Jones, of course, he's just out there. He beats up a guy, Whiny was the guy's last name. And it was just to show what the big man can do. He's 6'5", 385, and just rolling around the ring with the greatest of ease. So then Karrion Kross and the Final Testament come out, and they said, Kofi, we see what you're doing. You're trying to replace, Odyssey is replacing Big E. And then he looks at Xavier Woods, and he says, Xavier, you see the truth. Odyssey is replacing you. Then Xavier grabs a mic, and he says, if you want a tag team match, me and Kofi. And then Kofi interrupts him, takes the mic, and is speaking the truth because he says, look, if we go tag team, whoever's on the outside is just going to jump in and get involved. So let's make it a 6-man tag. But in actuality, you stepped on Xavier Woods trying to make a tag team match. And it's very interesting to me to see what they do with Xavier Woods and if they will actually pull the plug on the New Day. Xavier Woods go heel? Could it happen? would Triple H end the New Day? Because everything I'm seeing is Xavier Woods is minutes away from turning. Now, I don't know that he's going to turn and go with the Final Testament, but I can surely see him turning on Kofi and going his own ways. So that's going to be very interesting to see. And then No Doubt New Day rocks. Yeah, you know what? That makes a whole lot of sense, man. Thank you there. I didn't even put the NDR New Day rocks together. Thanks, No Doubt. That's awesome. I think the Wood Angle's the tease. They stay together. And that, you know what? You might be 100% right. But I'm that guy that's going to buy into it and be like, man. Because again, you're still getting used to the way Triple H kind of writes programming. And so far, he's been a little bit all over the place. You can't really say, oh, he's going to do this, because he's zigged and he's zagged and he stayed a straight line. And he's put a Y in the road, and then you go A or B, and you pick one, he'll go the other way, or you pick, or he'll go the way that you want to go. But it's very interesting to me that the fact that, hey, there we sit with with Kofi and Xavier Woods, which I feel like we discussed this a while ago, and then Kofi got hurt. So maybe now ultimately they make that change. Adam Pearce was in the back. Drew entered and brought up the fact that why is Randy Orton of SmackDown getting a title shot? Drew says tonight he'll take care of it for Adam Pearce. And then, of course, later on in the show, you had Randy Orton come into the ring, Gunther come down to the ring. What's funny to me now, like I look at Gunther in the ring and I look at Randy Orton in the ring, and not to build, but he looks like a young Randy Orton. Like when I look at it, it's like a younger Randy Orton, and the arrogance, the confidence. That's what Gunther is. Gunther, it's like Randy Orton is looking in a mirror at his younger self with Gunther as the champion. And he said tonight, here, I gotta look at my handy dandy notebook. There it is. It goes, 20 years ago, he won the world title. And at Bash in Berlin, I will become a 15-time world champion. And as soon as he says champion, good old Gunther's music hits. And Randy Orton comes out. Gunther kind of runs him down. And Randy says, I made a lot of mistakes, but I've also changed course. And he said, prediction number one, he'll get the beating of his life at Bash in Berlin. And number two, he will never be world champion. Drew McIntyre music hits. Gunther takes his eyes off of Randy Orton for a moment, which was a mistake. RKO out of nowhere. Drew McIntyre starts taking off the shirt to come in after Randy Orton, it looks like. And here came CM Punk. CM Punk battling with Drew. Drew headbutts him, takes off the belt, misses him. CM Punk gets the belt and then just whips the daylights out of Drew McIntyre. And how do you elevate this feud? I feel like they're going to bring in a strap match. I feel like a strap match is coming. Like, why do you have the belt and you're whipping each other? Or, well, actually, in this case, Punk whipped McIntyre. I got to believe at some point that, they'll turn. And McIntyre ended up whooping up on CM Punk. But ultimately, I felt like this is going to lead to probably like a strap match. And we'll see. Will WWE pull the strings on that as well? We'll have a strap match. I don't know when the last strap match was. I know Savio Vega did a strap match. Man, has there been a strap match recently? Yeah, no, I don't know one right off the top of my head. No Doubt says, I thought it was interesting that Orton said if he wins, he comes to Raw and Gunther goes to SmackDown. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what we're doing now, right? You lose the title, you're gone. You go to SmackDown. He stays on Raw. So we'll see where it goes. But do you think the Terror Twins become a terror couple? They seem to be a hint at extra chemistry. No, I don't think they become a couple. I don't think they'll become a couple, man. They're like brother and sister on a thing. Like, so, you know, I think that's what you're going to see. And also kudos to WWE. I mean, you know, again, everybody understands the way wrestling is, right? Rhea is married to Buddy Murphy. Dom is married outside of WWE. I don't know about Liv. I don't know if she has a relationship or not. I like the fact, look, they can throw the subtle jabs and everything about all that stuff, but they didn't go into, because I thought at first, because he goes, Liv gives me something that you never could. And I was like, oh no, I hope they don't take this, you know, like in that way, because if anybody understands the way wrestling is, it's not like, you know, Liv and Dom, although maybe some people will think that, you know, Liv and Dom, but Dom's got a relationship outside of wrestling. I found it very good to where he said, you know, she knows how to treat me. And then she gets me chicken tendies. She lets me play video games. She doesn't embarrass me and make me call her mommy. Actually, she calls me daddy. You know, things like I thought that, no, Kaiser is dating Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton is with Kaiser. So that is who's there with Tiffany Stratton and Kaiser. But I like the fact that they didn't, you know, go that route, because at first, when they first started doing it, I was like, oh no, they're going to say they're going to go that route, and I was just happy that wrong blow on my bed, no problem, no doubt. I'm just happy they didn't go that route there. Let's see what else. Anything else big that happened there? I thought it was interesting too. They did a breakdown of like the physics, raw physics, I think they called it. Bronson Reed, like a breakdown of the numbers, him beating up on Seth Rollins. He comes off at a 45-degree angle on this axis, and like it was kind of crazy, but I like the fact that they're doing a little bit more there. The Pete Dunne sit-down interview, I mean, it was just him kind of saying what he's already said, right? He blames Sheamus for holding him down, having a nickname like Butch. He never wants to hear that name again. He's Pete Dunne. He lived off my curtails. Nothing new there that it brought. So overall, I just thought like that was a little bit of a time where, hey, okay, I can go get a break. You had the tag team match, Damage Control and Zoe Stark and Shayna, which ended up with, you know, Alba Fire getting kicked outside the ring, and then they come in the ring and Kairi Sane is laid out in the ring, which now sets up for the triple threat match next week. So overall, I thought it was a good Raw, man, a good Raw. I'm looking at I put out a poll. If you go to Sean_Stanley11 on X, and if you're watching on X, if you can go there, go to the poll. It's Stanley Media House Network, Sean_Stanley11. What was your grade for WWE Raw? Right now, early, it's 40% gave it an A and 33% did not watch it. So it'll be interesting. And then also a lot of things happening with CW, October 1st. NXT goes to CW. It's going to be interesting to see how that affects numbers. And then also the fact that SmackDown in September will now move to the USA Network. How does that change numbers? Because a lot more people get Fox than that get USA. So it's going to be interesting to see. Right now, they roughly between 2.2, 2.4 on Fox, and Raw on USA is usually between 1.5 and 1.7. So it's going to be interesting when SmackDown also comes to USA Network, what that number comes in at. And then the CW, I believe most areas get that. Not as many like a Fox or anything like that, but I believe now it's become a pretty legit channel us there. So let's see here. Do you think we get Otis citing at NXT for the Oma Johnson? I believe so. And that's the other thing I wrote down right here. Underneath Obafemi being outside and him and Otis having that moment and him kind of, I don't know, McAfee was like, I think he told him to kiss his ass, you know, because he hit his ass cheek and things like that. So I would say, yeah, why not? Why not do that open challenge? Otis against Obafemi? I would be there. I'd watch that. I'd watch that. You know, Raw's been down, or sorry, NXT's been down the last couple weeks. Again, you had also the Olympics and everything. It hasn't been down crazy. It dropped from like a 600 to a 500. But they were better last week. They did go up. But we'll see if that continues. We'll see if it continues to go up. They've had Joe Hendry on there. Not really a whole lot more from TNA. A lot of the NXT guys were on TNA at the last set of tapings. I don't know how many have actually been shown yet, but I believe like 4 or 5 NXT were used in the last set of TNA tapings. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I think you'll get Otis tomorrow. If that wasn't to set that up, I have no idea why you bring Obafemi out and talk about his NXT Open Challenge tomorrow. And he's arguing with Otis, and Otis doesn't answer the challenge. Like, I would think that it's got to be Otis. To me, again, I don't write the programs. I just, you know, I like storylines. I like things making sense. If you're gonna have Obafemi kind of come out and be like, worry about your match, yelling at Otis there. Ultimately, I think I want to see, and honestly, I would love to see Obafemi take on Otis. It's going to be, it's not going to be a high-flying affair, but it'll be very interesting to see 2 big guys that can move, and they're pretty strong, both of them, and lock horns tomorrow night on NXT. We'll see if it happens. All right, guys, gals, appreciate all of you jumping on here on the Raw Reaction Show Squared Circle Digest. Don't forget, please, if you're watching on X at Sean_Stanley11, or you're watching on Twitch, please, if you do me a favor, jump over to the Stanley Media House Network YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Help me out there. And then also, please hit the like button on the way out. And then give me a share. If you liked what you heard, hit a share. Tell people, tell your friends, tell your peeps that we're here. Every show we do a reaction show except for NXT, because we're on during that time doing a live Squared Circle Digest tomorrow, 7 p.m. Myself and Frankie Fresco. We'll break down all the latest wrestling news, rumors, a little bit going on in AEW right now as they're going for All In. And then we've got NXT tomorrow night. We've got Dynamite reaction show on Wednesday, SmackDown reaction show on Friday, and then we'll get ready for Raw once again next week, Monday, right here on the Stanley Media House Network YouTube channel. I appreciate everybody that was here tonight. And once again, in the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the sun, shine, stay.